So this video is going to reveal how to make fresh coffee using an Aeropress all the way through from the beginning to the end. So let's take a look. So first of all, we're going to weigh coffee to get an exact amount. Usually use about 20 grams of fresh coffee. We're going to grind it, so we're going to use the coffee beans. We're going to use a handheld grinder. This is a morning ritual, a good way to start the day. This is the funnel that actually comes with the Aeropress. Going to put that on top of the grinder. I'm going to weigh those beans out and put them directly into the grinder. Good way to bring the attention in the present moment, help to focus, be a little bit mindful in the morning. Put those beans in, and we're going to use 20 grams. This is enough for a good morning cup of coffee. This is some coffee that I got in Fitzrovia, coffee shop in London, Black Sheep Coffee. It's actually from Tanzania. Fantastic, fresh, clean tasting coffee. Okay, then it takes around a minute, I found, a handheld grind, about 20 grams of coffee. Takes around a minute to grind that. So just to let you know, while I was doing this, I'd actually boiled the kettle. So let's grind that coffee. So halfway through grinding the coffee, using the boiled water, and it was just cooled down a little bit, they're going to heat all the utensils that are going to be used to have them nice and warm. So this is the Aeropress. So rather than using that cold, I'm going to fill up that Aeropress and the cup with hot water. A bit like the tradition of warming the pot in tea making. This is like warming the Aeropress. But if you check, this Aeropress is what known as the inverted way of using it. And it means it allows the user to brew the coffee. Take that paper taste out, because if you use a dry paper with the Aeropress, you get a little bit of papery coming through. So wet it, let that stand, then carry on grinding for a bit more. So when your beans have ground, you're going to get a beautiful aroma coming off those beans. You can then place them in your Aeropress, pouring out that water. So you've got a nice, clean, warm Aeropress, using the funnel that comes with it. Just so you've got a nice, clean entrance of the coffee when it goes into the Aeropress. That's quite important, so you don't get any bits on the outside. Pour that fresh coffee inside your Aeropress, and you can put away that grinder, no longer needed. Clear the surface as you're working. That's no longer needed. The funnel's no longer needed. Now you've got your coffee in your Aeropress. No water at the moment. So the water has already boiled, and it's probably been standing there, I'd say just over a minute, slightly more. Now I'm going to bloom that coffee. So we're just going to put we're going to cover the coffee, as you can see. Not a lot. We're going to put the water all over the coffee. And we're going to let that coffee bloom. All that coffee is going under. And I'm using here just a single chopstick just to press that down. And then just let that stand. So let it stand there for maybe a minute or so, depending on how you're feeling, depending on what strength coffee you want. You could, at this point, go and do something else, prepare something else, or if you're wanting to do it mindfully, you just simply stand there. This is one of the things I say in the mindfulness classes. Just stand there and take a break. Take a few breaths. Slow down. Enjoy the process. Yeah? Taking your time. It's often a tendency, isn't there, in the kitchen, when something is waiting, we go and quickly do something else. Like a multitasking. But this is a way of slowing down. It's like a morning ritual. Then, adding your hot water further to your coffee and filling up your Aeropress like that, covering all the coffee. I tend to do the actions of the coffee quite slowly. Yeah, there's no rush involved. You're letting all the flavors come out of the coffee, and then give it a bit of a stir. Start stirring. filling it not completely to the top, but almost to the top. There you go, give that a nice stir. Clockwise. Shall we go anti-clockwise? Nah, not today. Then put the lid with the paper on the top. There we go. There's your coffee and it's brewing inside. So there's your mug. So while that's brewing, you could stand there and watch it again if you wanted to, but I'm going to spill that mug out. It's a bone china mug. Lovely and warm to put your coffee in. Then put the coffee mug on top of the Aeropress, like that. Standing on top. Then, when you're ready, flip it over. Flip over the Aeropress. And there it is, it's still brewing. So that process before, I could have left it longer if I wanted to. This is why when you're using an Aeropress, there's so many different factors and so many different nuances and changes that you could make depending on the flavor that you want of your brew. And then you push the Aeropress down. I tend to do this very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. Just pushing it down. Push it down. Push it down. And then you start to get the air coming through at this point. And then you push that down completely. Press it down. Nice and slowly. No drips coming out at all. That's the preparation done. As you can see, you've got a nice cup of joe waiting for you after doing this. You can, if you wanted to save the hassle, clean that immediately. You could use your coffee beans in the garden or discard them. Push it down. You can even reuse the paper if you want to. Clean it. Some people say, oh, it's a big hassle using an Aeropress. The cleanup process, how long is this taking? 5 seconds. Just rinse it out. Not too much. Because if you're using different types of coffee, maybe a bit more. But if you're using one type of bean, not necessary. Then getting your stirrer for the last mix. There we go. You've got your cup of joe. Generally with an Aeropress, you're looking to drink that black. You're not wanting to add milk or sugar because you'll not get all the flavors coming through, and you'll notice you'll get a beautiful tasting coffee. I mean, this coffee actually tastes a little bit like tea. It's so light. It's many different flavors coming through there. There we go. There's an Aeropress coffee.